Live here at Citizen Television. On the bench today with the former Speaker of the National Assembly, Francis Ole Kaparo, who's just written his memoirs, folks. It's entitled Calming the Storms. And it goes on to say the memoirs of Francis Ole Kaparo with a foreword by none other than former Chief Justice Dr. Willie Mutunga. And here's how he summarizes this in the foreword. He says, "It is a highly recommended read for anyone with interest in the forces that are shaping post-colonial Africa. Not just Kenya, but Africa." Rich history that this man has. It's great that he has written his memoirs. Madam Speaker, good to see you and welcome again.
Well, thanks.
This was not the original title of the book.
Now, I had written another book earlier, much bigger. The title was Order, Order, Order.
Which is what you were known for.
That is what a lot of Kenyans call me in the streets. But true to Kenyan style, the manuscript was stolen. And I have heard that it's being sold in the streets, in the back streets of Nairobi. I had to do it again.
Wow.
And it took me another 4 years to complete this, much smaller, much condensed, but had the same story.
Good Lord, that's incredible. So someone stole it, they went, they published it, and it's selling.
Yes. And I paid a lot of money. They told me, they even showed me what they called pictures of the books in cranes being shipped from India to Kenya. I'm still waiting for them. But you know, that is what happens in Kenya.
The good thing is you didn't give up.
No.
You know, you didn't bow your head and say, forget it, I'm done.
No, I hardly give up on an issue that I believe in. I normally try as hard as I can to achieve what I wanted to achieve, in spite of the difficulties along the way.
Yeah.
And I think that is what should happen. I don't think anybody should give up because there are roadblocks along the way. You must find another way to get where you want to be. The most important thing is you do what you want to do and achieve it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you were Kenya's first Speaker of the National Assembly after multi-party democracy.
Yes, and I believe I was the fourth Speaker.
Since independence.
Since independence. But I began the first multi-party parliament in January of 1993. Jeff, that was a parliament you are not likely in your lifetime ever to see again. It was a parliament evenly divided, more or less, with 100 members of parliament from the opposition and 110 members from the government side. And the government increased its majority by an additional 12 nominated MPs, which would make a total of the House 223, excluding the Speaker. The 23rd one is the Attorney General.
That's right.
Who wouldn't vote. So the totality of the House was 222. So the government had a majority of 12.
What kind of characters were there? Give us some names.
Who? Oh, the members of that House?
Yes.
Well, we had members of that House. I don't think we'll ever get the likes of those. We had Martin Shikuku and his brother Oyondi. I had Jaramogi Oginga Odinga and his son, Raila Amolo Odinga. I had Mr. Matiba, Stanley, it was called Stanley Matiba. I had Stanley Matiba,
Yes.
George Anyona, what used to be called the Young Turks, Professor Nyang, James Sorengo, Mr. Muite, Mother Karua, and a lot of very fiery persons inhabited.
Did you have to call, is that why you had to call order a lot?
Yes, because you see, unlike what obtained today, when we reverted to multi-party parliament and politics, there was a lot of enmity outside the house. And the country was very divided, and there was a lot of hostility. A lot of people died in the process of getting to multi-party democracy. A lot of people were killed. A lot of people were imprisoned. A lot of people were maimed. There was indeed a lot of hostility out there in the country. I remember, because I was then Minister for Industry in 1992, those years, it was pretty dangerous to ride on a GK vehicle in Nairobi, because there are chances that you would be lynched. It would be burned to ashes.
It was that bad?
It was that bad. And you know, when the House resumed in January 26, 1993, the members of the government side and those of the opposition side would not say hello to one another. Leave alone sit together just to say hello. They wouldn't. And that situation continued for almost 9 months. So you can figure out, there you are in the middle, and here are the leaders of the country who are very hostile to one another. And they must work together. And you are in the middle, my friend. And you are not armed. I was only armed with my mouth, my brain, and whatever else you want to associate with not running away. It was quite difficult.
So you said it lasted 9 months. What changed?
What changed is I had to get these guys to talk to one another. These guys to talk to one another. I had to. Because, you know, you just can't live in a situation like that. Jeff, it was bad. It was bad. I'm telling you, it was bad. That's why I said you will never get a parliament like that. I had to break that hostility, and I sent members of parliament to the US Congress. I got support from the US government and parliament to send 15 members of parliament to the US. I sent 8 from the government and 7 from the opposition to reflect the numbers in the House. The government had a slim majority in the House. They had also to have a slim majority in the contingent that we sent to the US. And I sent those fellows through London, and from Nairobi to London to Washington, they were not talking to one another. Those in Kanu spoke to those in Kanu, those in the various opposition parties spoke to one another, but never talked to those in government.
Wow.
And you know, I had arranged with the US Congress and the US government that these guys should not be put in a hotel. They should get a house of their own, where they were the only ones there.
All together.
The only ones there.
Yeah.
The only non-Kenyans would be the fellows who are working for them, the ones who would clean their rooms, the ones who would make food for them, but they were all there together to the exclusion of others. And you know, on arrival, they didn't speak to one another all the way from Nairobi through London to Washington. And for 3 other days, they were not talking to each other. I think on the 4th or 5th day, they missed somebody else to talk to, and they began talking to one another. And we kept them for another 10 days. And they were talking to one another. After that, they talked all the way from Washington to Nairobi and into the precincts of Parliament, and they infected the House with the disease of talking to one another. So gradually, we became a working Parliament.
So it worked?
It worked in the end. It did work in the end.
Yeah.
I had very, 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 very reliable people. I sent the chief whips of government and the deputy and the chief whips of the opposition, all the leadership of the House. I sent them out there. And when they came, they were talking in the House.
Yeah.
And in the end, we had an opportunity to get the members to interact as brothers. That was my duty. That was a job I had to do. And with the help of God, I did. And together with, of course, those who helped me from outside the country, who helped to finance it, who helped to keep those guys together, who helped to teach them while I was away, and that was a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say would be your greatest accomplishment as Speaker, other than bringing the opposition and government together?
I hardly ever praise myself. I think it's the wrong thing to do. I have never done it. I'll not do it now.
Okay, most challenging thing.
Let me just finish this. Your question should be answered by Kenyans, because they are the ones who can judge me fairly. I cannot be a fair judge of myself, and I cannot attempt to do that.
It's very modest of you.
Yeah.
Most challenging?
Most challenging, of course, was that issue of bringing members to believe that they are a family, that they have a duty to work and live together and serve Kenyans together in respect, in spite of their political differences, and to bring finally the multi-party parliament to work and thrive. That was the most difficult. I inherited a parliament where there were very few staff. The members of parliament didn't have anywhere to work from. The only place they could work from were either from the dining hall, from the walkways, or from the lobby. There was no office. And the first challenge for me then was, after making them work together, was to get a decent place for members to work from. That's when we acquired first County Hall. You know, County Hall is a very small place. Yeah. So we made that to be a place where some staff, members of staff, could work from. Because members of staff, too, had a problem to find out where to work. And we had also to increase our workforce, and there was no place to work.
You know what, Mr. Speaker, I want to...
And then the second one, the second thing we did was to acquire Continental Building. And Continental Building, Continental House, we made available offices for all members. And they were then able to work from a decent location instead of working from corridors and from roads and whatever else you could think.
And now they have Bunge Towers as well.
Well, it's coming. I actually bought those plots. I think there's still one that has not been built, because I foresaw that Continental House was not going to be sufficient for a developing house. You needed more space. You need more buildings to be able to create a parliament that would serve the Kenyan people.
You know what, Mr. Speaker, I want to take a break and come back and ask you exactly that, because you were 223 people in that house, right?
Yes.
Today, there's 349, plus 60 plus senators as well. That's 400 plus people.
Yeah.
The U.S. Congress, which is the House and Representative and the Senate there, has 535. We have 400 and change. I mean, does that, for a country the size of Texas, does that make sense? Is it too bloated? Is it too big? Can anything be done? Can any work be done? I want to talk about that, and also more about your book, Calming the Storms. You seem very calm.
Well, if I can't be calm, I couldn't calm the storms.
You could or you couldn't?
I couldn't calm the storms if I wasn't calm myself.
Yes.
So, you know, when you...
Let's take a break. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. We're speaking to former National Assembly Speaker Francis Ole Kaparo. His new book, his memoirs, titled Calming the Storms. By the way, the launch is tomorrow at the Catholic University, beginning at about 4:30 in the afternoon. 4:30, Catholic University. The official launch...
Auditorium. Catholic University
Auditorium. And then after that, it'll be available all over the place, right? Textbook Center, Prestige Books, everywhere.
Yes, yes.
Fantastic. Great read, folks. If you want to know about the history of Kenya and Africa, it's right here in Calming the Storms. Keep tweeting at Kwenanga Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya. The hashtag is JKLIVE. JKLIVE takes a break. We'll be back with this fascinating man in a moment.